what tends to happen, to be honest, when we have a premium live event. We tend to have like a bit of a lull after. So, yeah, we've got a few things to go through. I hope everyone is well. I want to fire up the chat on screen as well. Right, okay, so just having a look at the bits of news that I've got. Let's blast down the news. Then we'll go to the Raw breakdown. We'll go to the NXT breakdown. And then we'll get stuck into thoughts and theories. So, first of all, we've got... this is really interesting. This is really interesting, actually. I just posted this on... let me find it. Just posted it over on Twitter. So, let me find the window capture. Find the window capture. Boom. There we go. And look at this. This is really, really interesting stuff. So, on here, we've got information as to the biggest merch sellers for the year so far. So what we've got is we've got WWE and AEW. So on this, can I make this bigger? If I click on it, I should be able to, shouldn't I? Yeah, I feared that would happen. Right, okay, so we've got Cody Rhodes is the top merch seller so far. Reverse rank value, 46.6. I don't actually know what that means. So I don't think there's any kind of monetary information here, but it's just the amount of stuff that's been sold. Cody is top for the year. Then it's Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, that's amazing, isn't it? Stone Cold in second place. I wouldn't have said that. I really wouldn't have said that. Certainly not this year as well. Maybe last year when he main evented. But I wouldn't have thought it this year. Stone Cold is ahead of Roman Reigns so far this year. I mean, that really puts a few things into perspective, doesn't it? So we've got Cody top, then Stone Cold, then Roman, then John Cena. I mean, no surprises, Cena being up there. LA Knight, of course, doing really well. We know that he's actually been top merch seller for a few months. So he's kind of closing that gap, if you will. Then we've got the NWO. Then we've got WWE. So that's going to be like the title belts and things along those lines. Then we've got Eddie Guerrero, which I'm surprised at Eddie being that high. Eddie Guerrero, the 8th best merch seller so far this year. Then we've got Rhea Ripley, and then we've got the Usos over on AEW, shop AEW. AEW is top, then CM Punk, then the Acclaimed. Then it's Orange Cassidy, then it's the Elite, then it's Kenny Omega, then it's MJF and Adam Cole. Then it's FTR, then it's MJF, and then it is Danhausen. So that's the list of all of the merch sellers. And I would say that there's a few surprises in there. I think Cody being top's probably not the biggest surprise, but Stone Cold being second is a surprise. Then we've got Roman Reigns coming in third. John Cena. LA Knight being in 5th is brilliant for him. Then we got NWO. Then we got WWE. Eddie Guerrero's a surprise. Rhea, I think that's fine. And Usos are fine. Over on AEW, CM Punk being second, probably not a surprise. Although it does show how big of a superstar he was for them. The fact that, you know, there's no MJF ain't top. Right? Or Kenny Omega ain't top, or it's not the Elite, it's CM Punk, who has sold more merch, like superstar-wise this year than anyone else. Then we've got the Acclaimed. Then we've got Orange Cassidy. Then it's the Elite. Then it's Kenny. Then it's MJF and Adam Cole. That's really interesting. MJF and Adam Cole together has sold more merch than MJF on his own. So MJF and Adam Cole are 7th, FTR, then it's MJF, who's only just ahead of Danhausen. That's mind-blowing to me. That's mind-blowing, the amount of TV time that MJF gets. And Danhausen, you know, is, I don't know what that number is, 10.4, MJF 11.9, CM Punk 32.6, whatever that number is. It kind of shows the gap between how much merch CM Punk was selling compared to like MJF. So, few surprises in there. I thought it was really, really interesting. I love WrestleNomics. They're not just good for ratings, they're good for other stuff as well, like merch sales. And there was another one that I saw where they just broke down like WWE's business compared to UFC's business, just talking about revenue income from live events, things like that. Really interesting. I mean, if I can find it, I don't want to just like talk all about WrestleNomics. But, yeah, I mean, what I would say is I would urge that you go and check out their Twitter account. This is what I was referring to. Look, revenue breakdown for WWE and UFC for the 12 months between July and June. You can see the UFC 844 on their media rights compared to 899 for WWE. Live events 149 for UFC, 248 for WWE. This shocked me. This next one shocked me. UFC, way more on sponsorship. 176 on sponsorship compared to WWE, only 66. So that is incredible. Absolutely incredible. I would have thought that WWE were much closer, if not ahead, when it came to sponsorships. But we know that UFC have sponsors all over the octagon. So we know that they have stuff all over the octagon, and we know that they like do kind of like, you know, the army brings you the third round, the army brings you the fifth round, or whatever it might be. So you know, it was just a case of thinking about it and thinking actually the UFC do quite a bit with sponsorship, but so do WWE. So I was really surprised at that. And then the last one, consumer product licensing, 56 compared to 125 for WWE. So, yeah, you know, it's a decent insight into the two businesses. These two businesses came together, and we actually now can get a little glimpse as to how they kind of cross over with each other, and we can get a little glimpse to see like what the sponsorship looks like, what the live event numbers look like, what the media rights look like. It's really interesting stuff. So, as I said, WrestleNomics, that's where I got the merch info from. That's where I got the revenue breakdown from. And definitely say they're well worth a follow. So, go and check them out. Right, I know we're doing a lot of talking. Really wanted to get stuck into that because I thought that was fascinating information. The other bits that we've got, I'm just going to blast down some of the news. Then we've got a little bit, we might as well do it in one go, and then we'll jump into the chat. Because normally I have a whole page of notes. Now I've only got like this. I mean, there's next to nothing that's been set up for Raw or NXT. So it ain't going to take us long. So we've spoke about the top merch sellers. A new stable could be arriving. There are big rumors that WWE are interested in bringing someone back to join up with Iyo and Kairi. Now, this is really interesting because I'm going to say the name, and if you don't want to know, then obviously step away. But it's a very interesting addition, if so. And I genuinely don't know if it would work. So step away now if you don't want to know. I'll say the name. It's Saray from NXT, who had that kind of weird backstage, you know, I hope they don't bring that to the main roster. That was absolute garbage, right? She was backstage dressed normally, and she had a little medallion thing, and then she would walk to come out. And as she emerged out into the arena, she was in her wrestling attire. She was completely wearing something different. So I think they were trying to, I can't quite tell if it was just a little fun entrance thing, right? And it's just a little fun kind of part of her entrance, just like how, you know, the animated helicopter lands for Kairi Sane or whatever. They play this video of her backstage, and then she comes walking out to make it seem like she's transported. Or if they really genuinely wanted us to believe that she had transferred her attire, right? Whatever they were trying to do, for me, it was just hot garbage. It's some of the worst stuff I've seen from NXT. Her in-ring was all right, though. She was all right in-ring. Promo-wise, we never really got much from her. it never felt like we could get momentum going with her. We could never really get an idea as to, if she was goods or bads, or, where her limitations were, where she was struggling. You would see her once in a while and then she'd be gone again. So I'm really torn on this. It's hard to get excited about her coming to the main roster when we've got so many questions about her, and I've got added concerns as well. But she is the name that's being mentioned to join up with Iyo and Kairi. And of course, that insinuates that this is going to be a breakaway group, because I don't know that Kairi is going to work well with Bayley. And then are we really going to bring in another member of Damage Control? We're up to 4 now. Are we really going to go to 5? Or is it more likely that these 3, the new addition, Iyo and Kairi, break away, and then we've got Bayley and Dakota, and we add one more to that group? I would think that's probably more likely, and then we get a little feud situation. And maybe this is the kind of thing we're seeing with Santos and Rey as well. Perhaps these are just, unfortunately, 2 stories that are going to be quite similar, with one group breaking into 2 and then these feuding. Because I could see Santos, Del Toro, and Whacking Wild going off, and I could see Dragon Lee, Rey Mysterio, and maybe an Axiom or something else. Like, I could see them breaking off as well. So, it is really interesting to look at that rumor and think about where is it actually going. Mitchell said, do you think WWE should fast track Kairi to a title to make her feel like a big deal? And do you think AJ's first challenger should be AJ Styles? I don't think they fast track her to a title, no. I don't think you need to do that to make someone feel like a big deal. If she picks up wins and looks like violent, like she looks like, that elbow that she dropped, for example, looks absolutely horrific. If she's going to go in there, no nonsense, just mess people up. She's only small, so I think that I would lean into the fact that she's a little assassin kind of a thing, and I would make it so that her spinning back fists, her striking, that elbow drop, any of those like impact moves really make them look good, man. No half measures, go all the way. So I wouldn't fast track her to a title to make her feel more important, because to be honest, if you do something like that, you might be papering over some cracks. You might be papering over some little details. Like, the title might be just kind of overshadowing some of the character deficiencies. I would much rather that we look at her character, we look at how she's being presented, we get that right, and then when that's cooking, then we can potentially look at, like, right, what do we do with her, and potentially going after a tag title. I feel like a tag title would probably be first. I don't think we're going to do that because, well, not at the moment, because we're going to need to add another member, aren't we? And there are rumors about that person that we just mentioned, but I don't know how far down the road we are with that. So it's very hard to say if we're going to be bringing her in soon, and then if we are, putting them in that group, and then them going for tag titles. I think I could see it being more that Iyo and Kairi break away, Bayley and Dakota on the other sides. We add another member or 2 members this side, another member or 2 members on this side, and then we engage in a war, right? I could see that playing out. And then once that's played out, maybe Survivor Series, going into WrestleMania season, then we could potentially look at maybe titles or something for Kairi. But I would really work with her to try and get her, if I was in WWE, I would work with her to get her striking, her presentation. I want everything to be sharp, meaningful, purposeful, impactful. I want everything to be at least a 10, if not 11. I want everything to look violent. She's a oh man, you don't want to mess around with Kairi Sane. You don't want to mess around with Kairi Sane. I'd really work with her on that. And I wonder if there's any films that you could tell her to go and watch that have got that sort of characteristic, where you've got that kind of just real cold blood. I suppose like something like Kill Bill, where Uma Thurman, the bride, is like really just cold and just going after people. And I would really look to like work with her on her character. In regards to Logan's next challenger, should it be AJ Styles? I think Logan against AJ would be a fantastic match. I think there'd be a few options for him. I don't think Logan AJ should be next, just because AJ got put out of action by Roman. I've got to think when he's coming back, he's going to want to go after Roman and the Bloodline. So I've got to think that AJ's going to be setting his sights a little bit higher than the US title. I think he's going to be going higher than that. So I think the next person, where's he on? He's on SmackDown, isn't he? So we need baby faces from SmackDown. I mean, ultimately, I think LA Knight is the one that should get that title off Logan. And I think that should happen at around WrestleMania time. Let's just quickly have a look at SmackDown, and we'll see what we're dealing with. So we've got Ashanti. I mean, we don't know what's happening with Ashanti at the moment. We've got Brawling Brutes, but I'd keep them as a tag team. You got Cameron Grimes, but I don't think that feels like an interesting feud, right? Maybe you could like build it up or something. I mean, we do have to find something for these people to do. So Cameron Grimes is out there. We've got Carrion, but I don't think his face. You got Kevin Owens. I mean, Logan against Kevin Owens would be pretty sweet, wouldn't it? That would be I think people would be really into that. Imagine the verbals there as well. Kevin Owens against Logan Paul. Ultimately, LA Knight should get it, so I wouldn't do that now. We've got Ray, Santos. Santos makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Because Ray might want the rematch, but Santos, Santos was meant to go for that title, I think, the first time, but got ruled out, and didn't Ray replace him? So Santos being back to full health now would make perfect sense. Santos has to be an opponent of Logan at some point. Has to. So I think Logan's going to maybe get trapped with the LWO for a bit because he cheated and they ain't going to be happy about it. So I could see Logan, Ray, Logan, Santos leading us up to Logan against LA. Logan, Sheamus would be a lot of fun. That'd be a lot of fun. We need something for Sheamus when he comes back around. Don't know when that's going to be, but, that could be next year. LWO could get us through for the rest of this year. Early next year could be Sheamus. And then at WrestleMania, it could be LA Knight. So I'd be looking at something like that, but just personal. I mean, each to their own. Everyone's got their own taste as to what they would be doing. So, Mitchell, I hope you are well. Dave Walker as well. Shout out to you, my friends. And a big shout out to everyone in the chat. I am going to get to you. I just want to blast down these so it's done. And then I can live in the chat then. So, we've spoken about that. That's a very interesting situation. I'd say it's probably one of the most interesting things that's come out of Crown Jewel is the return of Kairi, what it means, Iyo, damage control. Are they going to split apart? I'm thinking it's going to go that way. Talking of Logan as well, he was talking about going to the Performance Center because he says that he's all about legacy, and he's starting to wonder if his legacy might actually be in WWE. So there's noises being made about Logan staying in WWE a little bit longer than we anticipated or we thought, and him actually going down and training with people down in the Performance Center, which is brilliant. I mean, that's absolutely brilliant. I love the fact that he's looking to do that, because that's the only criticism that I've got of him. I think that considering he's had 8 matches, I mean, it's unfathomable. It's incredible how good he is in the ring, the different moves that he can do. But what I love as well is just how much he's pushing himself. Like the match he has with Ray, there's lots of little flips, little reversals, moments where he has to catch him. For example, that's the one that everyone's been talking about, where Ray springboards off moonsaults and looks like he's about to crash down head first. and Logan just catches him. So there was lots of little things like that, little flips over, little Spanish flies and whatever. This, this is not anymore Logan just going in, clothesline, drop kick, I'll try a moonsault from the corner type situation. This is Logan using that stuff as a base and then building upon it, having worked with Ricochet, doing a Spanish fly, to the outside through that table, working with now Ray. He's kind of adding in a couple of, dare I say, lucha elements to his wrestling as well. Has he got a long way to go? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think what we're seeing is someone absolutely maxing out everything they know. If you watch another wrestler, they'll show you 10% of what they know in a match, because they might need to dip into the other 90 for the next show and the show after that and the show after that and the show after that and the show after that. Whereas with Logan, I think he's, everything you're seeing is everything he knows, which is no criticism, but it's just, if he is going to do this on a more regular basis, he needs to expand his moveset, his, understanding of the business. And, ideally get to a point where he can be calling matches. Going in there with younger talent that haven't had the same experiences as him. Now, he is a long, long way from that. A long, 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 long way from that. But this kind of talk is really encouraging, of him saying that this could be his legacy, and he's thinking of going to the PC, and he seems very respectful of WWE. I did wonder, actually, I don't know how I feel about it. I think I like the fact that he's putting out messages like, thanks for believing in me, boss, and then putting a picture of him and Triple H. Like, I really like that. And him saying the word boss, there's a real respect between Logan and Triple H. And there's a few messages I've seen from him, where he was saying, I can't believe I'm the same score as Bad Bunny on the game. If Bad Bunny wants, let's settle it in the ring and whatever. Which I've kind of looked at and gone, I don't think you're the same as Bad Bunny. I think you're much better. And I like the respect that's been shown to Triple H. But I think that this title reign, the only reason for me that he's got it isn't so much because of what he's done, right? It's because he's a big heel and he's a big superstar, and we can use his platform to promote WWE. And also, because he's a big heel, we can rile up the fan base, and we can then use a big baby face to get that title off of him. I don't, for someone to come in and have 8 matches and be rewarded by being given a title is just, it's nonsense, right? That's nonsense to me. I don't think that's why we've given it to him. I think we've given it to him because we know that he can use that belt and he can promote WWE, and we can build up a big babyface, go up against him. So with that being said, what I'm looking for from him is I'm looking for him to rub it in people's faces. I'm looking for him to kind of wind people up and say, like, WWE's easy. It's easy. I've had 8 matches and I'm a champion now. Like, this is a walk in the park. And if anyone feels different, step up. Step up. I dare you to step up. I've been in there with the best. I've gone toe-to-toe with the best. And I've absolutely more than held my own, to the point where I'm now your United States champion. So I'm looking for stuff like that as we go forwards. I'm not going to look forward to it, right? It's going to annoy me. But it's meant to annoy me. That's the whole reason why he's got the belt. I think it's the only reason he's got the belt. So I like the noises of him saying he's going to go to the PC, but part of my brain goes, that's something that I want to hear him say. Is that something he should be saying in public, or should he just go and do it? Maybe he should just go and do it, and then, like, publicly trash, like, the company. Well, not WWE, but trash the roster, trash, like, the baby faces. And work the fans, basically. Work the fans. So he said that. The other thing, WWE interested in Ospreay. Now, no surprises here. Ospreay, one of the best in the world. WWE apparently have reached out and there's been some sort of communication. I think the belief is that he's still going to find his way to AEW, but WWE might be able to make things quite convincing, you know. They might be able to make things convincing. They might be able to twist his arm. So, yeah, we'll have to see kind of how that plays out and what happens with that. But I expect him to go to AEW. But that was just one of the biggest stories that was doing the rounds today. Let's talk about Raw, NXT, and then I'm going to get to the chat. Right, Raw. Akira Tozawa against Shinsuke Nakamura. That match is official. And the only other thing that's been announced is Ricochet versus Miz versus Bronson Reed versus Ivar in an Intercontinental #1 contenders match. That's the only other match that's been announced. So those two matches, that is it, right? I can't find any other information for Raw. It's going to be packed. There's going to be the Fallout. We've got Judgment Day Fallout. Damian Priest obviously trying to cash in. And his briefcase being stolen by Sammy, which I absolutely love. We spoke about that, about how they've now got 2 briefcases because Damian should have the one that he actually got from the roof, which is the green one, and Sammy has stolen the one that was gifted to him by JD McDonough, the Senior Money in the Bank. So there's 2 briefcases. So I do wonder if we're going to do some sort of ladder match where you're going to have to retrieve, like, you know, the 2 briefcases or retrieve the 1 briefcase we're going to use going forward. And could it be that that is on the line and it's going to be Sammy against Damian Priest? I mean, that for Survivor Series would be flipping awesome. But the only problem is then that means Damian's going to be in that match and he's not going to be in a Judgment Day match because I don't think he'll wrestle twice. So, little interesting development there with Sammy getting that briefcase. And I would flipping love Sammy to be the Money in the Bank briefcase holder. Would it suck for Damian? Yeah, but I genuinely don't think when Damian won that, everyone was like, yes, it's his time. This is brilliant. This is perfect. I think people, or most people, were like, okay, let's see how they go with this. Let's see what they do. Like, I like him. He's credible. He's got a great voice. Promos are pretty good. Matches are pretty good. Yeah, I can see it. I can see why they want to go with this guy. Let's see how it goes. So if it's taken away from him now, obviously he will have a breakdown that will add to his character. He will be vengeful and all this kind of stuff. And I would imagine that it will kind of, I don't know, lead to more dissension in the Judgment Day. Eventually he's going to break apart. I mean, I feel like he'll find his way to a world title at some point. But I don't know that there's too many people that are absolutely desperate that it's going to be him that cashes it in, right? I think most people just look at it and go, okay, let's see where this goes. Maybe a few people will be disappointed now because that thought has had time to marinate. You know, it's been a while since Money in the Bank, so we've all got used to Damian having it and potentially cashing it in and potentially being a world champion. And so that thought has been with us now. So now that we're changing it, it's quite jarring. And I would imagine there's a few out there that don't really like the idea of doing that. But my feelings on it are very simple. I flipping love Sami Zayn and I would love for him to have that briefcase. So no confusion on my part. And I have no trouble that thinking that Damian will get there eventually. And we can just use this to further his character and his story and everything. So all of that's going to be part of the fallout for Raw. Who's next for Rhea as well? Because obviously she emerged from that fatal 5-way. So that's going to be interesting. And then on NXT, we've got Iron Survivor qualifying matches. Tiffany Stratton is going to be taking on Fallon Henley. That's an Iron Survivor match. We've got Tyler Bate taking on Dijak. That's an Iron Survivor match. And then we've got Noam Dar against Akira Tozawa. So Tozawa wrestling Nakamura Akira on Monday, and then Noam Dar on Tuesday. And Akira is trying to win that Heritage Cup. We've also got Lyra Valkyria returning. And then finally, we've got Bron Breakker taking on Von Wagner. So, yeah, there we go. That is NXT. That is Raw. That's all the big news and rumors and speculation. Most of the chat today has just been people talking about their thoughts about Crown Jewel. It seems like the show was okay. I'm not seeing many people saying they absolutely loved it. In fact, I'm seeing more people probably saying that it was the worst pay-per-view of the year than I am people saying that they absolutely loved it. Most people seem to be, oh, it was all right. Yeah, it was fine. That's where most are. And then I'd say the next loudest, the ones that really didn't like it. And the third loudest are the ones that absolutely loved it. Yeah, the general consensus is it's all right. I can tell you that on our votes that we do on the channel, it's got the same score as SummerSlam, the exact same score. So I don't know if people think that it was the same as SummerSlam or not, but out of thousands and thousands and thousands of votes, it's actually got the same score. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It's a 4.54, I think, something like that. I think did I put it on Twitter, actually? I think I put it on Twitter. 4.56. 4.56 out of 6. 4.56 out of 6, which seems quite high, doesn't it? I think that's quite high. It's because of the 5 options people had to... In fact, I'll show it you. I don't even know why I'm explaining it. I'll just show it you. And then I am getting to the chat. Don't worry, I'm coming. So the way that I work this, and it might not be a great system. I genuinely don't know, but I'll just show you how I do it. Oh, actually, that's all right. I keep forgetting that one's there, but that's all right. So this is our community tab. You can see here that all time. So you get to vote 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So 1 is bad, 2 is okay, 3 is good, 4 is great, 5 is all time. Okay. So the way that I work this is I look at which one has won. So at the moment we've had, what's that? 3.2 thousand votes, 3,200 votes. Okay. And so great is in the lead. Great, 48%, right? So straight away, this is going to be high because it's great that most people have voted for, right? I would have thought it would have been okay, maybe good, but, great. Okay. So great as won, so that's why it's going to be as high as it is. That got 48%. And the way that I work it is I take the 48, I then take any score that's above it, I add them together. So 48 for great, 8 for all time gives me 56. So to me, that is a 4.56. And that's the way that I work out the scores going forward. So I'm quite interested in doing that for the... because the reason why I do it that way, by the way, is because I want to take into account everyone that voted for great or all time. I want everyone that voted for those, and it was 56% that voted for those. 56% of people thought it was either great or even better than that. They thought it was all time. So the one that won was great, and then 0.56. So if even more people had enjoyed it and great had won, then it might have been a 4.77, mightn't it? If even more people had voted for great or all time. So... I have to do it this way, unfortunately, because you only allowed 5 options on YouTube. If I could have loads of options, we'd have a much bigger poll, but I have to just go with this at the moment. So yeah, that's and I can tell you that 4.56 is the exact same score as SummerSlam. So I know that there's going to be people that are just going to say it was great when it wasn't great. We all know that's going to happen. But I kind of hope that with over 3,000 votes, it might have leveled itself out a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. This is the score. I mean, maybe it was great for some people out there. I would struggle to say it was great personally. But that's the score. It was on the channel. Over 3,000 people have voted, so gotta say that it is what it is. But yeah, also I would say is if you are going to vote in those polls, and I know that people will be doing this anyway, but just put your honest answer. You know, it doesn't change anything if you thought that it was just an okay show, or if you thought it was just a good show. It doesn't matter. All it does is it just helps us at the end of the year look to see what were the better shows. If everything's going to be great, then it's going to be really difficult to differentiate what was the better shows, isn't it? So the reason why I'm doing it is because I want to know, was Royal Rumble better than SummerSlam? Was Crown Jewel better than Money in the Bank? And if people are just going to go, yeah, all time for every single one, or great for every single one, like, it's not going to work, is it? So, but interesting that with over 3,000 votes, it's come out as the same score as SummerSlam, which I thought was interesting. Right, let's get into the chat and see what people are saying. Off Tom says, I have seen a prediction that Bloodline and Judgment Day against Jay, Cody, Randy, Logan, and CM Punk could be 5-on-5 at Survivor Series. Mitchell said, if you had to choose, would you take Logan on your roster or CM Punk? You can only take one. I would take CM Punk. I would take CM Punk. I could be tempted to change, though. I mean, it's not too tough of a question, to be honest. CM Punk, easy. I mean, he is AEW's, as we said earlier, he's AEW's biggest merch seller, just like second to their own merch, right? To like titles and whatever else it is, like AEW shirts and whatever. He's second to that. And we know that he's one of the biggest names in wrestling. We know that he can be drama backstage, but I would, you know, hopefully have some stuff in place where he knew he wouldn't be able to get away with that, you know. And I'd have, like, you know, a good person back there that was just keeping that locker room in check. He is going to be a trouble, though. I mean, there's no way of avoiding it because, as we said, he's very outspoken, he's very opinionated, and he doesn't keep that opinion to himself, and he will rub people up the wrong way. But he is also one of the best wrestlers, one of the best talkers, and if you've got the right creative, I think that you can absolutely do something with CM Punk. The problem with Logan is that he's got all the potential in the world, but how long is he going to stick with this? How long is he going to stick with this? And how much is he going to actually give you, you know? Plus, also, I know that he provides a big boost to your social media, but I think if I had WWE's social media, I wouldn't be too worried about that. And their social media is monstrous. They've got one of the biggest Twitter accounts, one of the biggest Instagram accounts, one of the biggest YouTube channels. So the boost to social media, it's all welcome, but it's not worth doing anything reckless for, you know? Like, I wouldn't have Logan beat Roman just because we're hoping that the social media buzz is going to make it worth it, you know? I think you put the creative first, and then you worry about that social media stuff afterwards. You worry about the marketing and everything else after. Worry about the in-ring product first. Get your in-ring product right first. That's why I wouldn't bring him in just because of his social media presence. Get the in-ring product right first, and then worry about everything else after that. Off Tom said, who would be Roman's next opponent apart from AJ? Who would be Roman's next opponent apart from AJ? Well, apparently he's not at Survivor Series. So if he's not at Survivor Series, then I think there's probably a chance that we get a Roman match, but it might not be for the title. That might have been his last title defense for this year. There is no other show for him to appear on, like pay-per-view wise, unless he defends it on SmackDown. And don't forget, last year we did Sami and Roman taking on Cena and Kevin Owens. So we could easily do something like that again, where it's Solo and Roman against some sort of tag team. Or even Jimmy, Solo, and Roman against some trio, right? So I think that there is a chance that we're done with Roman title defenses for 2023. That would take us to next year. And to be honest, when AJ comes back, he is looking for that revenge. So I think AJ, I know you said, like, apart from AJ, but I think AJ could easily be the next one. And then we end up working our way towards WrestleMania, which I feel is going to be Cody. If we want to have a look at some other options, I mean, I don't think they will go back to Kevin Owens, because Kevin Owens is on SmackDown now, but I don't think they'll go back with him. I wouldn't mind if they did, and if he won, wouldn't mind him being the one to end it. That wouldn't bother me at all, because I actually see him as Roman's biggest opponent since he started this title reign. He's faced him quite a few times, and at different points in the reign as well. It's not like he faced him for a period and then he went. He actually faced him a few times in this run. I think they ended up facing at like 2 Royal Rumbles. Was it in a row, maybe? Or like 2001? No, was it 2001 and then 2023? I think there was a gap, wasn't there? Yeah, because 2022 was Roman and Seth. So he faced him for the title at Royal Rumble 2021, and then he faced him at Royal Rumble 2023 for the title as well. And in between that was Roman's match with Seth at Royal Rumble 2022. So I see Kevin as being a viable option, but I don't think they'll go there again, just because we've gone to that well quite a few times. Bobby could be interesting, but he feels like he's a bit of a heel at the moment, doesn't he? We are struggling a little bit for faces over on SmackDown. Kevin Owens, we just spoke about. Maybe it frees up Ray to have another crack, but I really don't think it does. I think he's going to be having his hands full with Santos and Logan. Does Solo turn? I don't think so, not yet. Does Sheamus get to come back and have a go? Maybe. Can't really rule it out. Couldn't rule it out. Sheamus could have a go. But really, outside of that, that's it. Everyone else here are either women or heels. So we're not drowning in options. But then, as I've just said, I don't think we need to be drowning in options. I think that he might even be done with his title defenses this year. You know, it could be that his next one could be the Rumble. Brony said, did you see the Better Wrestling Experience Better Wrestling Experience report of CM Punk and WWE reportedly in talks? No, I didn't. I heard something about this. I heard that it wasn't it CM Punk wanting to reach out? Oh, here we go. An hour ago. No DQ. CM Punk reportedly wanted to make a WWE return, but the company turned him down, and he's not expected to be back now. Earlier today, Better Wrestling Experience wrote that CM Punk was recently scheduled for a call with a few board members. I don't know why you're doing this, but I just asked about this from someone on CM Punk's side, and that request was denied. I really hate to burst people's bubble, but I reached out to sources that would know about this from CM Punk's side, and they deny that this has took place. As of today, CM Punk's return at Survivor Series is not set to happen. That's from Wrestling Pure. Reading it, why don't I just show it, people? Let's come from this Wrestle Puristry. I really hate to burst people's bubbles. I reached out to sources that I would know on CM Punk's side, and they deny that the situation has taken place. As of today, CM Punk returning to WWE at Survivor Series is not set to happen. So that's from Wrestling Purist. What else have we got in here? What people from WWE and CM Punk's camp are reportedly saying about the latest rumor. So that was as of an hour ago, and that was nodq.com. So I mean, look, it's going to keep rumbling along in it. My position on it has not changed from the start, and I don't expect him to be at Survivor Series. I think that there are there's real issues there. There's real, like, deep-rooted dislike. I am, while I will say, though, is I am shocked that CM Punk, first of all, is willing to go back. You know, even that would be something that I wouldn't have expected. But seemingly on WWE side, they're done. They're not interested. So we'll have to wait and see, won't we? You know, could it all be a big swerve? And then he ends up coming back at Survivor Series, and it was all of this was just, you know, fake information that was being dripped out. And it was just fake information that was just being used to try and throw people off the scent. We'll find out at Survivor Series, won't we? But all I can say is that as of now, my position is as it's been, which is I just don't think it's going to happen. But we'll see. We'll see. I Am Famous said, do you think anyone from NXT will shop on the main roster, Raw or SmackDown? Everyone comes to NXT using a wildcard rule. Will anyone from NXT show up on the main roster? That's hard to say, isn't it? Because there's a few that are ready. Like Bron Breakker's ready. The Creeds have been ready. I mean, they've had title runs. What else are we going to do with them? But they've been called up, and it seems like Dragon Lee has been called up as well. So I'm going to lean towards no. I'm going to lean towards no, because we've done a few call-ups recently with Dragon Lee and with the Creed brothers. And I think that if we were going to call people up, we might have already done it. So I'm going to lean towards no, although it will be interesting to see what's going to happen with this new group, you know? I mean, if the name we mentioned earlier is going to be joining Iyo and Kairi, then is that a call-up? I don't know. I wouldn't know how that would be classed, to be honest, because she's not with the company right now, so I think it would just be a main roster debut, wouldn't it? It's not really a call-up. You can only get called up if you're actively in NXT at the moment. But maybe someone else could come up to join them, or maybe someone from NXT gets called up to join Bayley and Dakota. But to be honest, I don't think we'll get those answers this week, because I think we've got to tell the story of Bayley confused, Dakota confused, trying to work out what's happening, Bayley not keen on Kairi coming in. How does Kairi feel about it? Like, I think we need to explore all of that first. We found out from the Bloodline story, or we saw from the Bloodline story, taking that slower approach is very, very beneficial. It's a good way to go about things, taking that slower approach. It means that you can get deeper characteristics for your characters. You can really get stuck into their personas and the relationships and everything. I wouldn't go too quickly with this. I don't think there's a need. You know, at this time of year, we're not really building to anything, so we might as well just let things marinate and let them take their time. And, you know, we saw that work to great effect with the Bloodline. Aces said, Miz is supposed to be winning the International Championship at Survivor Series. I am praying that WWE officials change their minds. The Intercontinental. Dark Knight said, what if Logan Paul agreed to do nothing but wrestle? What if Logan Paul agreed to do nothing but wrestle? What, he was just going to be a wrestler and that was it? I'd want to know what he was going to, how long he was going to be around for. What is, I'd need to talk to him, to be honest. I mean, it's hard to sit here and just say, oh, if he said he was going to drop everything else and he was going to go wrestling full time. Well, okay, but how long's that for? You know, granted, I don't think you're going to get loads of time out of CM Punk. I don't think CM Punk's got loads of time on his career. So if Logan was going to give you a good 5 years, well, then, yeah, that definitely would change things, because CM Punk, I don't think you're going to get a good 5 years out of CM Punk. I don't think you're going to get a good 5 years out of him. But, yeah, that would be the biggest barrier. And it's always been the biggest barrier with Logan, hasn't it? It's like his fact that he's got too many fingers in too many pies and he's never around. And so it just always feels like he's taking a spot away from a wrestler that does work there week in, week out, you know? Because there are wrestlers that can't get onto those cards. who deserve to be invested in, who deserve an opportunity at the United States Championship. But instead, it goes to Logan Paul because he's Logan Paul. Right, that's it. Not because he's paid his dues, but because he's Logan Paul. But at least he's good, and at least if he was there all full time, at least then it would be a bit more palatable. So that's always been my issue with him, you know. Mr. Dow Jr. said Gunther should win the Royal Rumble and challenge Seth and win the championship, and Cody win in Perth. Then Cody win at WrestleMania to be the person who beats Roman. Thoughts? Right. What? Hang on. Gunther win the Rumble. No problem. Challenge Seth. No problem. Win the championship. No problem. Cody wins. And Cody wins at Elimination Chamber. Cody wins Elimination Chamber. No problem. Cody wins at WrestleMania and he's the person to get Rome's title. Yep. All of that checks out. No issue with that whatsoever. No issue with that. Gunther being the one to dethrone Seth. No issue. Cody finishing the story at WrestleMania 40. No issue. Gunther winning Rumble. Cody winning Elimination Chamber. No issue. No issue at all. Dowsey said, I kept title reign for staff. Roland's return. Dark Angel said, what would be more shocking? Tony Khan appearing on WWE or Vince appearing on AEW? CM Punk returning to WWE or Taylor Swift appearing on WWE? But I don't think Taylor would be that shocking because she could sing the America the Beautiful to open WrestleMania. So I'm sure she would do that if she's free and there's money involved. So that wouldn't be that shocking. CM Punk returning to WWE. Well, I've just read he wants to, but WWE don't want him to. That one feels like it is not happening. But if WWE have a change of mind, if WWE change their mind, it seems like CM Punk would be willing for that to happen. If WWE changed their mind and for some reason, I don't know why they would, allowed Tony to come onto their show, Tony would snap at it. Tony would snap at doing that because he is going onto a bigger platform, seemingly to promote his brand. So it's only WWE that would stop Tony from going on to WWE. Tony would absolutely have no doubt about it. He would snap at it. Because why wouldn't you? You can go on to WWE TV, potentially mention AEW in front of, like, you know, why wouldn't you do that? So that one feels like it's only WWE that's stopping that. And CM Punk feels like it's only WWE stopping that as well, right? I would say of the two, it's probably more likely that CM Punk returns than Tony goes onto their TV. But at least there's one party in there that would be like willing for that. On the other side, you've got AEW. I think they would be happy to have Vince on because it would be a boost for their ratings. But why would Vince want to go on, and what would he have to say on that station other than if he had bought them? If he buys them, then I could understand it. But why would he want to give them a ratings boost? Why would he want to give them a ratings boost? If Tony comes on to WWE, it's WWE's ratings that may go up, right? If Vince goes on to AEW, it's AEW's ratings that go up. And I don't know why Vince would want to do that. Because Tony gains from going on WWE, and WWE gain in the ratings. If Vince goes on to AEW, Tony gains from the ratings. Does Vince gain anything? Like, speaking to the 700, 800,000 people that watch Dynamite. And most of them are going to cross over anyway. And of those that don't cross over, I think they're done with WWE. Can't imagine there's many people in that crowd that haven't seen or heard of WWE. So of those options, I would say the most unlikely is Vince going on to AEW. Vince going to AEW would be the most unlikely for me. Wrestle with Andy said, what about bringing Punk back and Sasha to form a faction of Dominic, Logan, CM Punk, and Sasha? Let's do it. Why not? Daisy said, what happened? They've just pranked us. CM Punk is coming back at Survivor Series. I want it to be a secret, and I want it to be a swerve. The guy said, do you think Logan will be part-time as champion? Yes. I think he will be around a bit more, but he will still be part-time. I don't expect him to be there on the show all the time. Tom said, we have a higher chance of Logan paying the crypto thing than him being a full-time wrestler. I'm looking forward to hearing William Regal's announcing War Games soon, said Asa. Hot take, CM Punk should not return at War Games, said Northside Nice. He should retire. Plus, CM Punk has got beef with Triple H. Aces said Will Ospreay against John Moxley announcement for Wrestle Kingdom 18. So I know they wanted to get Danielson onto that. So they're doing Moxley on that, are they? I don't know how people feel about Moxley. Danielson did, there is a message here from Danielson, so it looks like he has challenged Okada. Ospreay versus Moxley versus David Finlay, a three-way for the United States Championship, IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Ospreay, Moxley, Finlay. Then we've got Takahashi against El Desperado for the Junior Heavyweight Championship. We got Okada against Danielson. We've got Bullet Club War Dogs, Clark Connors and Driller Maloney taking on Catch 22, TJP and Akira for the IWGP Junior Tag Team Championships. And then our main events, which I am really looking forward to, actually. Our main event for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, Sanada takes on Naito. That is going to be really good. I really love Naito. I love his story. I love how he was shunned by the fans. He was trying to, do it the right way, and the fans didn't really take to him. He ended up going off and wrestling around the world and coming back with a new attitude, and that attitude of I don't care. Don't care about the fans. Don't care about the company. I just don't care. And he, as a result of that attitude, just went to the moon, didn't he? So Naito has been in and around top matches for so long now. And there's a bit more warmth between him and the fans now, but I still really, really like him. He's one of my favorites from New Japan. So him going for the title, looking forward to that. Okada against Danielson. Their first match was good, really good, but I think the expectation was so high. I think it was always going to be difficult to kind of reach that level of expectation, But if this can get close, that would be amazing. But I don't know anything about Bullet Club War Dogs. I don't know anything about Catch 22. Takahashi against El Desperado could be a really good match. Yep, definitely down for that. And Ospreay, Moxley, David Finlay. I like Ospreay. Moxley doesn't do it for me, and David Finlay's all right. He's all right. So yeah, that's Wrestle Kingdom. That's one of the biggest wrestling shows of the year, the biggest wrestling show to come over from Japan. That's January 4th, 2024 in the Tokyo Dome. Daisy said, my dad, never say never that CM Punk come back. People hint, some hints never, Triple H said. Tom said, I normally call teachers dad by accident, and I've never called Daze dad, says Tom. You're welcome, son. You're welcome. AEW versus WWE at Survivor Series, said Reagan. Chris said, Iyo, Kairi, Asuka, Sarray faction without a mouthpiece, would it work? Says Chris. Well, it's good. It's a good question, but you could say the same thing about Nakamura without a mouthpiece, and I think what we're doing with him at the moment is fantastic. So certainly in ring, it might be a little bit of a challenge. But we know that Iyo can kind of get by, and we know that I think a few of them can get by in ring, but it's not going to be, you know, they ain't going to be winning awards for their in-ring promos. But I think they could really come into their own with pre-records, just like Nakamura is. Just fantastic presentation of Nakamura, and maybe that is something we can now use for other international stars. Maybe, you know, it's took us this long to figure out how best to present international stars, non-English speaking superstars. So I don't mind it, to be honest. I don't mind it. Would it be better if they had a mouthpiece? Maybe for the in-ring stuff, yes. But it might get in the way backstage. I would much rather hear from them in their native tongue and then put like the subtitles on screen like we're doing with Nakamura. I have no issue with that. Don't have any issue with that whatsoever, because I think the way we're doing it with Shinsuke is brilliant. Mr. Dow Jr. said, why not move Dynamite to Monday to make it a Monday Night Wars 2? Well, because their ratings would go down, first of all. And I don't know if they've got that time slot free, you know? I don't know if they feel that they're in a position to go toe-to-toe with WWE, or if they would just get buried. And also, I don't think that time slot's free. The time slot that they're being paid for is the Wednesday one, isn't it? They don't have a choice as to where they go. It's the network that decide that. And the network aren't going to look at it and think, oh, let's put them on a Monday so they can go up against Raw. They're going to be thinking, what do we need where? So we've got such and such on Monday, such. We've got a gap on Wednesday. So, bang. That's why it is where it is. Gunther would break Punk into 1,000,000 pieces, says Blue Lantern. Gunther would break. Oh, we read that. I could be Iyo, Asuka, Kairi mouthpiece would be a great idea. Are we up to speed with all the comments? I think we are, aren't we? It's just people saying hello to people. Serious Gaming said, when do you think MJF will revert back to being a heel again? As soon as possible, hopefully. As soon as possible. I'm not a fan of the face stuff. I know some people out there are, but then you're going to have divided opinions on everything. But to me, he is one of the best heels that's active right now. His delivery is fantastic. He can read out a phone book and make it seem compelling. He's got good little insults. He's quick. He's got good little put downs. I think he has got a natural arrogance about him that I just don't buy into him being a face. I don't look at him and root for him because I just don't buy him as a face at all. Not a single part of me buys this face turn. You know, so for me, he is he's the devil. He's a scumbag, all that kind of stuff. I think that this has been an experiment to see if he could do being a face. And I don't think it's been a total failure. But I just don't think it's anywhere near as good. I just don't think it's anywhere near as good as when he was being a heel and causing a bit of anarchy, you know. MJF has got the ability to cause anarchy, which I don't think he can really do as a face. You're kind of really restricting him, you know. And to be honest, he's been reduced to doing silly comedy with Adam Cole, which thankfully can't happen now because Adam Cole got injured. But it shouldn't take an injury to stop like the silliness that we were doing with the world champion. I mean, it's to me, it's crazy that we've got one of the best heels like that's around, and we've gone right. Let's not have him as a heel that he's doing really well at. Let's make him a face, and let's put him in like silly segments, and he can have some silly segments with Adam Cole. It's like, why have you done that to your best heel? Why have you done that to your best heel? But as I said, to some people, it's working for them. So, you know, it's opinions at the end of the day, isn't it? But my opinion is bad move, wrong move. I'd have no trouble trying it because I don't mind trying stuff. So if I was there, I would have been all right with trying it. But very quickly, I would have been like, no, this isn't as good. You can say it's good, but it's not as good. So let's get him back to how he was. And let's start building up some baby faces that can go up against him. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to when he gets switched back, to be honest. That Bryan injury sucks for AEW, said Aubrey. If Edge or Christian goes down, they've got what? MJF, Moxley, Omega. Yeah, they're losing people as well, aren't they? Because Danielson said when his daughter's 7 and she's 6 now, he's promised that he's going to go, and as well as that, we know that Sting's retiring. I know that's not a big loss, but even so, you know, he's calling it quits in ring, and there was another one as well. I mean, obviously we lost CM Punk. There was another one. I don't remember what it is now. There was another one in my head. There was 3 that I was thinking that we potentially are on the verge of losing. And yeah, it is gonna make things a little bit tricky. But this is where they need to be investing in the young stars that are coming through, you know? Tiny Tail said, MJF with the Acclaimed is also a misfit. He should stay a heel. I agree with that. But why not pair again with Wardlow, who is ice cold since coming back, instead of him going after MJF, says Tiny Tails. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I think, like, it would be difficult to tell the story of him pairing with Wardlow. I suppose, if I'm right, though, didn't Wardlow destroy MJF in their match? So they built up to a match, and I think Wardlow absolutely destroyed him. So, you know, MJF could say, look, big man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I know that you have my number because you showed it to me in our match, and this title means everything to me, and I know that you want a run with this, so I want to pay for your services for the next 12 months. I want to pay for your services because I know that you are the toughest opponent that I ever faced, and I know that you have my number. But I also want a run with this title. I want to create my own legacy. So here's the deal. I will pay you, and you will be my bodyguard, my protector. And in a year's time, when that contract runs out, you will get your title shot. What's amazing about that is that you have set up a match for 12 months' time, which, you know, is everyone's going to be looking forward to. Like, everyone's going to be thinking that's when it's going to end. And it might not. I mean, what if it actually ends before that? And then Wardlow, like, you know, can you imagine the look between Wardlow and MJF? So you're not trapped. You're not trapped into it ending at that point. You could have it end early, and then MJF has got a big blow, the title opportunity that he said he was going to give him in that kind of 12-month periods. And also, any kind of dissension between MJF and Wardlow would instantly have been fixed. Because if Wardlow is a heel, he'll take the money. He'll take the money. And MJF can be like, you remember the good times that we used to have? We can get back to that. And I think that if he is a heel, he'll take the money, he'll side with him, and the promise of the title match down the road should be enough to kind of keep him sweet, keep him going. And then you just build up those monster faces to go up against MJF. And if none of them are good enough, right? I don't think that I wouldn't look at it if I was booking. I wouldn't look at it as like, that's my person, right? I would look at it like Wardlow is a good option, right? I'm going to keep that on the back burner. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try this person, this person, this person, this person, this person. I'm going to build them, and I'm going to see how over they get, and I'm going to see if they are the one that should get it. So let's say it's MJF against Samoa Joe. I'll build Samoa Joe. If merch is lukewarm and video views are lukewarm and Google searches are lukewarm, he's not the guy, is he? So MJF beats him. Then I'll do MJF against Max Caster. And, you know, if merch is lukewarm, blah, 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 he's not the guy, is he? But then if I say I do Danielson and everything's going bananas, right? Everything's like it's a red hot feud. People are absolutely loving it. Then I will think, like, is this my guy? Is this my guy? I mean, with Danielson, you've got the added wrinkle of how long is he going to be around for? But I would be thinking, is this a better option than my Wardlow Plan B option, you know? Or do I still go with Wardlow? And that I'd have to make a decision. But as I said, if he dropped it before he got to Wardlow, wouldn't be an issue. Wouldn't be a problem. Because all of a sudden you've got this really interesting story and dynamic between MJF and Wardlow then. So I agree. I wouldn't mind putting them back together. I think there would just need to be a little bit of work to explain why, you know, why they're not, why they've got back together. Because I think Wardlow's quite angry with him at the moment. I Am Famous said WWE sign Kairi Sane back to keep her away from AEW. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I think that she is a good sign-in. I think she's a good wrestler. She is a little on the small side, but to be honest, it's not the land of giants, is it, the women's division? We've got some big females like Nia and Raquel and Rhea, but then we have Candice LeRae's and Zia Lee's and Iyo Skies and Nikki Cross's, you know, I mean, so I don't think it's really a problem. And she can cut a promo. She can wrestle. She's a good wrestler. So, yeah, I think she's a good addition. And she's got tons of experience. So she's a good addition. She would have been good in AEW, in all fairness. I don't think she's anything, though, that's going to move needles. I don't think she's anything that's going to really, you know, set the world on fire or set Twitter on fire or whatever. She's just a good piece to put into the puzzle. Like, but she's not really going to do a great deal. But the strength in numbers, and she could be part of a group that does do something significant. You know, Iyo, Kairi, whoever else they put in that group, if that is to be a breakaway group, that could be interesting. That could be real interesting. And that could do something. Plus also, you got to think that WWE is now a global brand. So that means that they are appealing all over the world. This is going to be great for their Japanese audience, isn't it? They're going to absolutely love this group that's in WWE now. So I've got to think that it would be a nice little boost over there. When we talk about WWE and we talk about the numbers, we're always thinking about the American ratings, but this gets shown and seen around the world. So it isn't just America, really, that we should be thinking about. It's those other countries as well where WWE is trying to have a presence and even grow that presence, to be honest, because AEW are coming. They're trying, aren't they? They're trying to take away as much WWE space as possible, viewership as possible, and not just in America, but in other countries as well. Reagan has a lot of talent. There was an issue with family. We're talking about soccer. He finally answered, I can move on to the next question, says I Am Famous. It's all right. It worked out in the end. Powerhouse Hobbs against Samoa Joe against Wardlow, a #1 contenders for the World's End pay-per-view, said Aces. Why is Roman looking at me so angrily in the background, said the guy. Don't know, perhaps it's something you said. Was you a bit moody about his victory last night? Hey, was you? Because could be that, couldn't it? Aubrey said, did you see the report? WWE got $50 million for Crown Jewel, equal to 3 WrestleManias from Saudi. No, I didn't. I did not see that report. Where was that? Crown Jewel earnings? Crown Jewel. Crown Jewel finances? Crown Jewel. I don't know. Well, I don't know how to search for that. It's grade. I mean, that's crazy. 50 million for one show. It's crazy, isn't it? Where was that? I'd like to read that. 50 million for one show. What if I put 50 million in? Crown Jewel, 50 million. Ah, here. WWF Old School. According to Brandon Thurston, Saudi Arabia are paid 50 million for Crown Jewel, which is equivalent to 3 WrestleManias. Today's event was WWE's 10th. Okay, so where's Brandon Thurston? I mean, that is WrestleNomics, but I didn't see that on the WrestleNomics thing. Perhaps it was on their radio show. I don't listen to their radio show, to be honest. I do need to start listening to their radio show, so maybe it was on there. Or maybe it was on his account, Thurston, Brandon Thurston. WrestleLamia retweeted that as well. That, according to Brandon Thurston, WWE were paid 50 million, which is equivalent to 3 WrestleManias. That's interesting. I don't know where he said it because I can't see it on the WrestleNomics thing. And I can't see it on his own homepage. So it must have just been mentioned. Oh, here it is. 2 days ago on his Twitter account, we found it. The Saudi government will pay WWE 50 million plus for today's Crown Jewel. The price for each event, the price for each event that's part of their 10-year deal, 50 million is equivalent to 3 WrestleManias worth of ticket sales. The government continues to punish critics, including Mohammed Al-Gamadi, who was sentenced to death for tweets critical of the government. Huh? What? Huh? Why has he put that in? Is that to remind people that this isn't good? This is the tweet, look. The Saudi government will pay blah, blah, blah. This bit here, look. The government continues to punish critics, including Mohammed Al-Gamadi, who was sentenced to death for tweets critical of the government. Repression in Saudi Arabia has reached a terrifying new stage when a court can hand down the death penalty for nothing more than peaceful tweets. I mean, that is actually quite scary, isn't it? Human rights in Saudi Arabia. That's interesting, that is. Oh, look, this person here, look, Lee said, Brandon, stop. You're acting like this because the US government does shady things too, but you don't have this energy with them. It's only WWE equals bad. Now do the US government and our massive arms deals with Saudis. Imagine going at Triple H harder than Congress. See, this is what happens when you take that kind of a political stance. You get them kinds of... I wasn't expecting that at all. I wasn't expecting that. I suppose he's added that, to be honest. For anyone that sat there going, oh my God, that's amazing. They should do more shows there or something like that. I can only imagine that he's put that in as a reason as to why that's maybe not the right line of thinking, or why this isn't something that should necessarily be only celebrated. It should also, there should maybe be an awareness of, you know, maybe what's going on over there as well. But then, as you've seen from the responses, people have said, is any country any good? Is anywhere any good in this day and age? The UK. The UK's good. We're great over here. We've never done anything wrong. Perfect history we've got. But it is shocking over there. People putting principles to one side for money. WWE is at the front of that queue. So is that why Vince McMahon and Undertaker were in Saudi for Tyson to collect money from the Saudi prince? Yeah, well, I mean, them being there will have got them money because their presence, I think, will have been requested. Now, maybe it was part of the deal that's with WWE, or maybe because Vince is in that TKO position now. Again, it was a part of a UFC deal, but either way, they were getting paid somehow. I don't for 1 second believe that he went there because he wanted to be there. He went there because he was invited and told it would be, it would be wise to attend. Like, this wouldn't be a good thing to turn down. Not from a, life point of view, but from a, if you want to renegotiate deals in the future point of view. And so, yeah, that's why I think a lot of people were there, plenty of money was being splashed on that side of the railing. Aaron, shout out to you, said Crown Jewel was a fine show. Nothing bad, but nothing that made me want to rewatch. Drew should have won. Why can't Roman just win clean? Is it not making him look weak at this point? Well, to be honest, I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters because we've said before, like, if you look back on, say, trying to think of a good example. Let's just use Bruno. Let's just use Bruno in the 60s, right? So Bruno in the 60s had its 7 years. Now, how many of those matches ended in interference, or how many of those matches ended by count out, or how many of those matches ended by DQ? Or the answer is, right, we don't know. I mean, we could find out, but we don't know. What we do know is he had it for 7-8 years, right? Now, the reason why that name wasn't a name I wanted to use is because he's actually a baby face. So my feelings are probably not many, right? But that's why I was trying to think of a heel that held it for a long time. But like, Bruno had it. He dropped it to Ivan Koloff. He then dropped it to Pedro Morales. Koloff only had it for a couple of weeks, right? Bruno was a face. Pedro was a face. Maybe Superstar Billy Graham. Superstar Billy Graham title run. Again, how long in his title reign how many did he have? Where there was outside interference, count out victories, DQs, where the other person won, but he got to keep the title. Like, the point I'm making is that it might make him look a bit weak in the moment. It might make him look a bit weak to us now, but long term, it ain't going to matter. Long term, it's going to say, longest reign. Look at Honky Tonk Man's what I should have gone with. Honky Tonk Man had the longest reigning Intercontinental title run, and he was getting mentioned because he had that longest reigning Intercontinental title run, and he cheated loads. But he still got the records, and that was still the record that Gunther needed to beat. So does it make Roman look a bit weaker that he can't do it on his own? Yes. Is it annoying and upsetting people? Yes. But is that designed to keep the baby faces that he's facing strong? Yes. And is it also designed so that when he loses it, it's going to be more satisfying because they don't want you to like Roman? They want you to get frustrated and be fed up and want change and want someone to get it from him, so that when Cody does it, if it is Cody, people are going to be united in celebration. Yes. So I agree. Creatively, we could have found something different. We could have had, as we said, we still could have had Roman win, but the person that interferes Could have been someone that could have set up AJ's next feud. It could have been a non-bloodline member that interfered, and that would have set up LA Knight's next feuds, which, you know, could have been anyone, AJ Styles, anyone. But we didn't do that. We ended up doing bloodline interfering again, and everyone's fed up of it and whatever. But I mean, the alternative is that he beats LA Knight clean, and I don't know if people would have liked that. Would people have enjoyed that more if Roman had gone in and beat an LA Knight clean, and there hadn't have been like a DQ type, an outside interference type finish? Would that have been more satisfying? I don't think it would. I don't like the finish. I'm not defending the finish. I'm just saying that we can understand why they're doing it. And is it going to be a problem for him, his legacy or whatever? Only for those of us that are aware of it or that have sat through it. You know, once like 15, 20 years have gone by, it's just all that will be remembered is how long he had the title for. That's all that will be remembered. That's all that will be really spoken about. And that's all that will really matter, to be honest, is how long that he had it for. So I think Roman is clearly the top guy. He's clearly the biggest name in the sport. He's clearly the person that you've got to get past. It's been one hell of a run, but I think plenty of people are at the point now where they're ready for it to end. Mitchell said, I don't know much about the territory days, but did those long reigns have the long duration like Roman without defending the title? No, they'd defend the title all the time. I mean, someone like Ric Flair was going from town to town to town to town. I mean, back then, the way you made your money was shows, you know? There wasn't this TV money around. So the way that you made your money was by selling tickets and putting on shows, hence why back then, you know, you hear stories of wrestlers working twice a day, like 5 days a week. Some even more than that. Not twice a day, 5 days a week, every week, but like, you know, they're working whatever was needed, doing like, you know, 400 shows in a year. To make sure that they was making as much money as they could. So they would go into a territory, they would be paid, and the way the territory would make the money back is by selling the tickets. So yeah, no, those people didn't necessarily go months and months and months and months and months without defending. But you know, it's a different world that we live in now. TV money means that we don't have to do as many house shows. I mean, WWE only tend to do the 2 house shows on the weekend now. I mean, back in the day, not even that long ago, they used to be doing house shows all the time. Used to be house shows like pretty much every day of the week, and like 3 different teams would be set. There was like an A team and a B team and a C team, and you'd have 3 different house shows going the same night. And you'd have 3 different rosters. So your main event back in the day, like Golden Era, your main event might have been Hogan on the one. It might have been Macho main event in the other. And it might have been Andre the Giant main event in the other. And so you would have your 3 teams that kind of went out. And so no, there wasn't this level of inactivity. Brony said they have Gunther win clean. I don't get why they don't give Roman clean wins. I get they want to make Roman's opponent look strong, but a clean win here and there would be nice. I think he has had some clean wins here and there, to be honest. I don't think all of his wins have been cheating. It's just that some of the most memorable ones have been cheating. But he has definitely had clean wins in this run. But that has been lessened, I would say. To be honest, I think that it's been lessened as we're getting towards the end of it. I think this is, which, it's hard, isn't it? It's difficult because Roman is beatable, and we know he's beatable. And it's just, if someone could overcome the bloodline and the outside interference, Roman would be there for the taking. And I think if he was beating people like clean right now, that'd absolutely be fine. Like, I love the idea of like Andre Hogan not beating in 15 years, Andre, you know, the immovable force, the irresistible object. But I also don't mind the story of Roman being a heel that has to cheat to keep the title. He's losing his bloodline. He's struggling to win his matches. Like, you can make a story out of that. You can make a story out of that, how things aren't great in his world, you know? The Usos aren't together anymore. His bloodline is fractured. Jimmy went off and came back and he's kind of under control, but not really. He's getting dirty looks from Solo. So I think that Roman's clearly not in a good place at the moment. You know, maybe he could use that as an excuse, like distractions and the lack of harmony within the bloodline, like is having an effect. It would be good if they dug into that. It'd be good if they dug into that, because it starts to make it feel like it's the beginning of the end. It's starting to feel like it's all crumbling down, and I think that will be the story over the next 6 months. I think in 6 months' time, we could see Roman lose his title, the bloodline completely fall apart, Solo turn on him, all within the space of the next 6 months as we get to WrestleMania, and then, you know, even the slight fallout after it as well. We don't react to Gunther the way we did to heel Roman at first. We were cheering heel Roman in 2021, says Mrs. Armour Forever Firefly. I Am Famous said, I have a feeling Cora Jade will return and involve sabotage Lyra's championship celebration. Yeah, it's a good point, actually. Where is Cora Jade? Don't know. Where is Cora Jade? That's a good question. You know, we was talking earlier about could we see someone getting called up? And Cora Jade is someone that we could definitely see get called up, because she said that she was done with NXT. And then she has gone off and I don't know if she had like breast implants done. Someone told me that she had gone off and had like some surgery done, like not surgery that was required, let's put it that way. Well, maybe it's required from a mental health point of view, but like not like diverticulitis or something like this, you know. So maybe she's in a process of recovering from that or something. I don't know. Johnny said, if Roman Reigns surpasses Hulk Hogan's title reign, then he would have to be champion at least until September 2024. Mitchell said, you should start watching Sunday Night Football games for fun. Hacker of Tomorrow said, where's Cora Jade? That is a good question. Serious Gaming said, boobies. Boobies. Boobies? Bigger boobies? That's what I heard. Bigger boobies. Aces said, do you not find it strange? I like this. I like it when a question starts like that. Do you not find it strange that WWE are doing 2003 John Cena breakout year, then winning US Championship at WrestleMania 20, and then 20 years later, LA Knight is doing the same program, winning the US title? Do I find that strange? No, not really. No. I don't find it strange, because that's the route one path, if you will. That's the path that you would normally go. So you come in, you have some feuds, the crowd take to you, and if the crowd really like you, then you get to go for a mid-card title. I mean, it would be more unusual for you to come in and immediately go after the world title. Like that's less. That happens much less. So like that's why the mid-card titles are there. That's your first stop. Some people might come in and go after the tag titles. You know, if they come in as a single star and it doesn't quite work, they get put in a tag team. Then they can go after the tag titles. But some people come in and, you know, end up going after the mid-card title. Oh, look at Gunther. Gunther came in, he got called up, and then he went after the Intercontinental and he won it. So it's, you know, the Intercontinental is sort of like the proving ground, isn't it? So you want to see if these people's, if you want to see if these people can carry a title, if they look good. Being a champion, you know, do they carry themselves as a champion? Are they good at listening, taking the orders that you need them to do, for example? Have they got a connection with the audience? Are they good with live promos? I know that Tiffany Stratton was someone that we had a lot of praise for. We really loved Tiffany Stratton, thought she was brilliant in ring. Really funny, good promos backstage. It wasn't until she got a title that we realized that she was not that brilliant live on the microphone. So, you know, if you've got a title, you're going to get put in all kinds of situations. You're going to be put in, like, you're going to have extra responsibilities in regards to maybe going to charity events, maybe doing more meet and greets. There's going to be more responsibility. You're going to be used on a regular basis. You're going to have to do live promos, pre-record promos, backstage promos. You're going to have to do, obviously, matches on premium live events. They tend to be longer and a bit more detailed. So, you know, it tests a lot of things to see if someone is ready to then move up to take the world title. So that's why, like, the mid-card ones are there. It's good. The mid-card it's good. It's good that we go through that path. This is why I want LA Knight to do that. I mean, look, he's someone that's got experience, and he's someone that's shown that he can cut promos live, and he can cut promos backstage, and he can do wrestling matches, and he's clearly got a connection with the fans. But I still want him to go that way because I think that it shows that you've paid your dues, you know? He can say that he's been in the business for like 20 odd years, but for many of us that don't watch Impact or watch other companies, doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. You know, what have you done in WWE? What have you done more than other people in WWE that means that you should be a world champion? Why should he be a world champion more than Sami Zayn? Why should he why should he beat Roman more than Cody Rhodes? So as a fan, you know, I'm looking for people to climb that mountain. Now, he's climbed a mountain just to get to WWE. That should be absolutely applauded, right? Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I'm pleased that he made it. But all he's got to now is the bottom of another mountain. That's where he is. He hasn't got to the top of a mountain. He's got to the bottom of another mountain. Now, maybe he's found a quicker path to get to the top, right? Because of the support that he's getting. But for me, that should still see him go through a mid-card title. So I'm still looking for him to get that mid-cards title. I don't see it as a replay of like a John Cena story or anything. But even if it was, it wouldn't be a problem. I mean, we do have to retell certain stories because like there's only so many you can tell, unfortunately. There's only so many things, you know. I remember we brought up the Riot Squads, and at the same time we had Absolution. We had two women's groups that were looking to take over their brand, run the division, and we just happened to bring them both up at the exact same time. So there's an example of two very similar stories being told at the exact same time on two different brands. And I think that, you know, that's going to happen, isn't it? Because there's only so many different stories that you're going to be able to tell. Wrestling has kind of been putting out stories like this since going back at least to the start of or the end of the war when TV came in. You know, wrestling's been doing that, and we've had all the territories. WWE's got 3 shows that's putting out TV content. And then you've got all the other companies as well. So of course, there's going to be stories that overlap and whatever. But no, I think this is just the path that people go. Really, this is the normal route. And then you know, there are other paths that you can venture down, of course, but some of those are less traveled. Let's put it that way. Brony said, I don't get why people don't want Cody to beat Roman. He's legit the only person I could think of, and he would be the correct choice. Botched Eye Surgery said, what was your favorite year in WWE storyline-wise? Don't know, to be honest, because there's been some really good stories. So obviously there's been some really great years. The one that like really grabbed me would be the Daniel Bryan one. I mean, straight away that's what I think of. I think of Daniel Bryan getting to the title, and I think him being held back by the authority and being a B+ player and all that kind of stuff, that I think was really special. But I've said before, I think you could really make an argument for the best story they've ever told being Bloodline. We may have just lived through it. We may have just lived through the best story they ever told. But I love the Wyatt family, and I love like Bray when he was in like Cult Leader. And that group was just so cool and dark and mysterious. And he had his promos, and we had the vignettes, and there was some really good stuff there. That was around the same time as Bryan Danielson as well. So my mind kind of goes to like 2013, stories being told going into 2014, and yeah, my mind would probably go there. But then I think of Bloodline, you know, and I think of how amazing that's been recently. So there's been some really good ones. Of course, Stone Cold Vince would be a big one. Undertaker Kane would be a big one. Owen and Brett was a great story as well. Like there was loads, but I feel like you could probably find a good story in pretty much each year. I think you could probably find something in each year. I think 95 was seen as a struggle. That's kind of seen as like the worst year. But yeah, people love the Attitude Era for like the whole Stone Cold stuff. Sadly, the WCW Invasion stuff was a real letdown. So that's something that could have been the biggest story. WCW coming in would have been amazing. But for various different reasons, it wasn't to be. I mean, they did bring people in, but they couldn't get all the names they wanted at the same time. And so it meant that it was quite watered down. And then they had to try and bulk it out. They had to move WWE stars kind of over to WCW and bring in ECW. And it all got really messy. That, I would say, is probably the biggest missed opportunity from a storyline point of view. Had we have got a proper WCW invasion when they bought WCW, then I think that could have gone down as the biggest story. But I think it probably goes down as the biggest misstep, actually. What time is it? Okay, we'll stick around for 16 minutes. We've done about an hour and 40 odd, so we'll stick around and clock our way up to the 2-hour mark. And then we'll call it quits. Of course, we are back tomorrow with Raw. We're back on Tuesday with NXT. We are doing AEW this week as well. And then on Friday, we got SmackDown. And then I think it's a big UFC show. I think it is a big UFC show next Saturday. So plenty of stuff coming up. Plenty of stuff on the way. And yeah, I really appreciate people joining us, and I really appreciate the support. Yesterday's Crown Jewel stream was great. Really, really enjoyed it. We ended up clocking up about 8 hours something. But there was loads of great conversation. There was loads of great points being made, some real fun moments for us to react to and everything. So even though the show itself was, you know, so-so, still something really special, isn't there, about watching like a WWE Premium Live event on a Saturday, on a weekend that you can like really get your teeth into. So it was cool, man. It was good. Brony said, obviously the Bloodline story isn't as great as it was, but to me it is the greatest story of all time when it comes to nuance, detail, and storytelling. Good point. Mitchell said, what's your dream match? Mine is AJ against Kenny Omega. I don't think I have one. I don't think I have one. I think we touched on this before. It's a good question, and I think I struggled to answer it because, to be honest, I did always have a dream match and it never happened. And then I haven't really replaced it. I haven't really sat down and thought about, oh my God, I'd love to see that and that. I mean, I suppose in WWE it would be Gunther and Sammy. Gunther against Sammy, I mean, like, for me, that's probably my favorite heel going up against probably my favorite face right now. Obviously, we saw Ilya and Gunther and the magic that was created there, and I think that Sammy would be similar. he maybe doesn't lay it in quite as hard as Ilya, but Sammy's storytelling abilities, his ability to, like, you know, get drama, milk drama out of a match is absolutely fantastic. And same with Gunther as well. So I think them two could really cook. So that I would love Sammy and Gunther, but I don't know if that's quite on the level that my previous dream match, which was Undertaker and Sting. I always wanted to see Undertaker and Sting. Sting to me is maybe the best wrestler that never competed in WWE. Now, I know everyone's going to go, he did compete in WWE, blah, 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 blah. But that was well past his prime, wasn't it? It was well past his prime. He had a couple of matches. His match with Triple H was really disappointing. His match with Seth is where he gets injured. I think I can't remember if he had another match in there as well, but I mean the run was just so heartbreakingly disappointing. And I think it was all a bit late as well. I mean, what we did see from his time in AEW is that he could still have some matches and they would be all right. You know, I mean, I don't think he's had any banging matches, but he's had some all right matches in AEW. But it was just real. I mean, that injury with Seth was just so unfortunate. So unfortunate. The Triple H one, I just think they got a bit giddy. I think they just, you know, they all got a bit giddy about, oh, we could do this, we could do that. No, how about you just put on a banging match? How about you just do Sting versus Triple H and you make it a banger rather than, oh, we'll bring down the NWO and then we'll bring down DX and then we'll do this and we'll do that. And then I'm going to face The Rock next year, so I need people to hate me, so I'm going to beat you, Sting. Is that all right? What? What? No, it's not. What are you doing? So, yeah, to me, I know he did come in and compete, but I'm blanking all that out. It's gone. Didn't happen. Apart from him coming in at Survivor Series, which was amazing, the rest of nothing else happened after that. So to me, he was the best person that's never competed in WWE. And because of his darker persona, I always wanted to see him against Undertaker. And that match around 2005-ish would have been pretty sick. The reason why I say that is because you couldn't have got him before 2001 because that's when they go out of business. So you couldn't have got him before then. And the other problem you've got is Undertaker around that time is doing American Badass stuff, isn't he? He's American Badass in. He's Big Evil in. So you've got to try and find a window because it'd have to be Dead Man. So he reverts back to Dead Man at WrestleMania 20, doesn't he? Which I think was 2004. So you could have done it around 2004, but I think Undertaker came back at WrestleMania 20. I don't think you would bring him back to go up against Sting. I think him coming back, maybe he would. Maybe that would have been amazing. Maybe rather than doing Undertaker Kane at WrestleMania 20, perhaps you do Undertaker Sting at WrestleMania 20. I think at that time Sting might have been in Impact TNA. I don't know. I don't know Sting's timeline because I don't watch Impact and TNA, so I don't know when he was in, when he was out, all that kind of stuff. I don't care. I'm just saying that for the benefit of doing this match, WrestleMania 20, Undertaker comes back 2004 to face Sting is what I wanted. That's what I wanted. And you could have done it really at any point after that, but the longer it was going, the more it was gonna, maybe not live up to expectation. But yeah, we never got it at the end of the day. We never got it. And so it's a missed opportunity, man. HJ, shout out to you, said, what are your thoughts on AEW ratings as we go into 2024? Do you think they lack right now as a product? We've touched on it a lot, but to be honest, my thoughts on their ratings are that if they're holding at about 850, it's not terrible. I think that they have split their roster across a few shows. So back last year, they were putting everything onto Dynamite and they were hitting 1 million. Now they've got a few people on Rampage, a few on Collision, a few that have left. It's harder for them to hit 1 million now. I don't think many people would disagree the product is not as strong as it was. I don't think many would disagree with that. I certainly feel that. And so I think that, you know, if they can stick at about 850, they just need to stay there, hold firm until they can figure out a story or bring in a superstar, but it'll probably be more creative, that can really ignite and really grab attention and really start to get their numbers moving. And a rising tide lifts all ships. So if Dynamite starts kicking off, I've got to think that's only going to be good news for Rampage and Collision as well. Wouldn't even need to do anything extra. It's just if you're bringing in more viewers to Dynamite, you're bringing in more viewers to AEW, some of those will then start watching Rampage and Collision. So as we said, a rising tide would lift all ships. So I think that if they can hold firm at 850, as long as they can negotiate TV deals and get all that stuff over the line, and it's not going to affect any TV deals, you know, because if the network that they are on want 1 million viewers and they can't deliver it, then that's a problem. But if the network they're on is happy with the 850 mark, then brilliant. But yeah, they need to get some sort of creative story going that's going to really grab attention. And to be honest, you know, it's hard to say exactly what that story should be, but because they're trying different things, they are trying stuff, but nothing seems to be quite landing, and it's a challenge. And I think they've made it harder for themselves by having Collision, because as we said before, they were getting around 1 million, whereas now, you know, they just did MJF against Kenny Omega, and they did it on Collision. Which, again, you know, a lot of people are looking at going, that was stupid. But I understand why they did it. They did it because they're trying to boost Collision numbers as well. But this is the problem. Last year, they didn't have to worry about doing that. You would have had MJF and Kenny on Dynamite. And, you know, I'm sure that would have brought in a great number. So I think that they are spreading themselves thin. I think they've made the job harder for themselves. I think it's one of those situations, though, where if a TV company is going to offer you another show, you're going to take it, aren't you? Because it's extra money that you're getting paid. So you're going to take it. Why would you ever want to turn down TV time? You know, Nick Khan said if he could make Raw 4 hours, he would do it. Why would you ever turn down ad money? So I get that it was not their fault, but it is harder now. It is harder. So trying to book it going forwards, you're just going to have to try and find stories. You're going to have to try and find something that's going to really grab attention. And do you know what? I mean, I think a lot of wrestling is in that boat. We saw the NWA do that crazy. Did you see the guy that was sniffing cocaine during the NWA show? And I think he's a manager or someone. And he wasn't doing it and got caught. It was part of the show. Like, they went over to check in on his stable. They were over by a table. They were, like, snorting cocaine. And I think the reason why they did it, I can only think the reason why they did it, is because they wanted to shock and they wanted to grab attention. And so they thought that was the right way to go. But I think James sent me a message saying that apparently the TV network that they got to deal with were so annoyed and appalled by it that they might have now lost their TV deal. So, I mean, you've got to be really careful with what you're doing. I also think the MJF stuff, you know, where he was laying into Tony saying that he wanted, he was going to be leaving 2024, all that kind of stuff. Tony's a mark, laying into it. I think all of that, I've got no doubt in my mind all of that was all planned. No doubt in my mind. That wasn't MJF going out and shooting. That was all planned. And again, to try and grab attention. And to be honest, it was working. I mean, people were talking about MJF at that time when he was talking of walking out. And didn't he get, like, suspended? And, you know, he was cutting his promo on air. And, you know, that definitely was creating a bit of a buzz. There was definitely some sort of, you know, did you see that? Did you see what they did? Did you see what he said? So it's hard to say exactly who should be used and the storyline that should be used, but you just need to get great wrestlers and you need to have great wrestling matches and you need to be telling great stories. And eventually you will get you know, a solid fan base, and you will get a good audience for that. I think it depends what network you're on. If you look at Raw versus SmackDown, says Aaron. Right, where are we with the time? Oh man, we've only got 3 minutes. The flip. Aaron said Samoa Joe against Keith Lee is grabbing my attention. I can't wait. Aaron said he's excited for Full Gear as well. Johnny said, Daze, I had to book a match for my local indie promotion. Guess who I've got? EC3. Oh, Johnny, well done, dudes. How did you get EC3? Did you send him a DM or something? General Elimination Chamber. Bruno, Hogan, Flair, Austin, Cena, Roman. Thoughts? I mean, yeah, you're putting in the best of the best, aren't you? Very, very little argument with that. I mean, someone might say, like, do you swap Bruno out for The Rock? Bruno's one of those that is a legend, and I personally would love to see him in that match. But you might get some going, I'd put The Rock in there instead of Bruno. The problem is, Bruno was around before, like, you know, WrestleMania and pay-per-view and all of that. And so he was being shown on TV, and he was in the local areas and whatever. And he was, like, selling out the Garden, and he is, like, you know, just loved, absolutely loved. But that, he was a regional / national star. As soon as WrestleMania started and, you know, VHS releases and all of that, all of a sudden WWE became a global brand. You know, I think the first time we spoke before, the first time they came to the UK was like 89. So, you know, the UK is one of their, like, first markets they went to. So, you know, you can see that it kind of, if 85 was the first WrestleMania and 89 was when they first came to the UK, really anything kind of before that point, you know, it just was more national, it was more US, it was more regional, it was more Northeast. So Bruno is kind of the king of that, you know? And unfortunately, people are learning about him, finding out about him, but there ain't loads of there ain't loads of matches out there for him that you can go to. I mean, if you go on the network, there's not loads of, like, tons and tons of stuff for him. Because unfortunately, they haven't uploaded a load of those older 60s shows. There's very limited 60s content on there. So, I love it. I would put Bruno in that, but you might get some just saying, if you want to make it a bit stronger, go like the Rock. Keith was best booked for me so far in NXT Black and Golds. It's been a lot since then. People keep fumbling him. Oh, I bet he doesn't mind that, does he, eh? He doesn't mind that. Erase Your Mind said, finally something promising match-wise for Keith Lee in AEW. Ashley said, that should be banned more than toes, Jobson, even thinking about it. Turn on the NFL game and stick around. I'm good, bud. I've got things that I need to run off and do anyway, but NFL's not really my thing. I'm partial to a Super Bowl, but that's about it. The stream is going to end. I can feel it. It is spluttering its way to a conclusion, but that's no bad thing, because it just means that it's time. It's time. It just means that it's the right time. So appreciate the support. I appreciate people joining us. I wasn't sure if we were going to get one through this week. I'm really pleased that we did. It took me ages to flip and set all this back downstairs again. I was doing it started doing it last night, and I was like, oh, I'll finish it tomorrow. But I also used it as an opportunity to, like, vacuum and tidy up. So, and set the new chair up. I got a new chair. So set a new chair up as well. So yeah, we're back, baby. We're back downstairs. We've got the proper microphone, so it should sound better. And everything's just better. It's better down here. And so, yes, we will be back tomorrow for Raw. So have a good evening, doing whatever it is that you're doing. Stay out of trouble. Stay awesome. And I will see you again next time. Bye for now.